Aaron Clark had always been fascinated by languages and cultures. So when the opportunity came to work on the Alliance station orbiting Valora, he could hardly resist. The station itself was a marvel, built to float in the thin orbit above the alien world. Every window offered a view of swirling purple clouds, sharp rock spires rising from the planet below, the faint glimmer of alien cities that seemed almost alive. Humans were still new here, and Aaron often felt like a small fish in a vast, unknown ocean. He walked quickly through the station's corridors, his boots clanging softly against the metal floor. His communicator buzzed with messages from other delegates, but he ignored most of them, focusing on the council meeting ahead. Today was not an ordinary day. Today, Aaron would speak about strategies, about the behavior and patterns of the Valorian people. And he knew every word might be scrutinized by alien ears more perceptive than any humans. The council chamber was enormous, circular, with high ceilings that made human voices sound thin and fragile. Alien delegates sat around the room, their forms strange and imposing. Some had translucent skin that shimmered with internal colors, while others had multiple limbs folded neatly in front of them. At the center of the chamber sat the Queen's throne, a structure that seemed carved from the heart of the planet itself. Selentha, the alien queen, radiated authority. Her presence alone commanded silence. She did not speak, yet the room felt her judgment as palpably as a storm felt on the skin. Aaron took a deep breath. He had prepared his observations meticulously, analyzing Valorian customs, military patterns, and even their subtle ways of signaling one another in council. As he began to speak, explaining the likely next moves of the Valorian leaders, and suggesting how humans could position themselves for maximum alliance benefit, he noticed eyes fixed on him with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. His words were calm, measured, never condescending. He spoke of Valorian intelligence and skill, never underestimating them. But he also emphasized human adaptability and creativity. This combination seemed to make some of the aliens uneasy. Humans were supposed to be newcomers, expendable, and easily dismissed. Yet here was one, standing firm, predicting behaviors and outcomes with a precision that startled even the most confident delegates midway through his presentation. A sharp sound cut through the murmurs, a signal from the royal guard. The room froze. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. He knew the sound. The Queen had been listening, and now she demanded to see him. The implications could be grave. The Queen was known for swift and unpredictable reactions, and any human summoned to her chamber had a 50% chance of never returning the same way. He tried to hide his apprehension behind a mask of calm. He straightened his jacket, adjusted his tie, and walked toward the designated exit. Every step echoed in the silent chamber. Some of the delegates whispered in low tones, speculating whether Aaron would be praised or punished, but he ignored them. He had learned early in his career that humans had a strange advantage: honesty and courage, even in the face of danger, could sometimes earn respect where force could not. The corridor leading to the Queen's chamber was long and dark, lit by subtle bioluminescent panels that pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Aaron's mind raced with possibilities. What did the Queen want? Had she heard his analysis and been impressed, or had he said something that crossed an invisible line? He reminded himself to stay steady, to remain human, to rely on the qualities that had carried his ancestors through centuries of unknown dangers: courage, empathy, and sharp observation. As he approached the massive doors of the Queen's chamber, he noticed the intricate carvings on the walls, images that depicted historic victories, mysterious symbols, and a timeline of the Valorian people's rise to power. It was beautiful and intimidating, a reminder that he was stepping into a place of history and authority far beyond human comprehension. The doors opened silently at a gesture from the guard, and he was ushered inside. The chamber was vast, far larger than the council room, with high ceilings that seemed to disappear into shadows. In the center, Queen Selentha sat on a throne that glowed faintly with an inner light. Her eyes, large and multifaceted, seemed to pierce through Aaron's very thoughts. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she studied him, head tilted slightly, as if trying to decode not just his words, but the essence of his being. Aaron held her gaze. He could feel the weight of her scrutiny, the power in the room pressing against him like a physical force, but he did not flinch. Instead, he bowed slightly, a gesture of respect, and said simply, "I understand you summoned me, Your Majesty." Salentha's voice, when it finally came, was low and melodic. Yet it carried a sharp edge. "You were talking about me, human," she said. The words echoed in the chamber. "Explain yourself." Aaron took a deep breath. He knew that any falsehood or flattery could be dangerous. He chose honesty, the tool humans wielded best in times of uncertainty. "I was talking about you," he admitted, "because I respect your intelligence and your strategy. I was analyzing your decisions not to undermine you, but to understand how humans and Valorians can work together. Your actions are remarkable, and I wanted to learn from them." For a moment, Salentha's expression did not change. But a flicker of something curiosity, perhaps amusement, passed through her eyes. "Humans are not usually so direct," she said. "Most are afraid, or they lie. You do not seem afraid." Aaron shook his head slightly. "I am cautious, Your Majesty, but I do not hide from the truth. Humans survive because we face what we must, even when we are small or weak. We adapt, we learn, and sometimes we succeed against odds that seem impossible." Salentha leaned forward, her multiple arms folding in intricate patterns. She spoke of loyalty, war, and survival, probing Aaron's understanding of human morality and decision-making. He replied with stories from Earth's tales of sacrifice, of stubborn hope, of civilizations that survived through cooperation rather than conquest. He spoke of the human ability to find meaning and connection even in adversity. The conversation lasted for hours. Aaron found himself relaxing slightly as he realized the Queen was not seeking to punish him but to test him. Each question was a trap, each statement a challenge, and he met them with steady honesty and reasoned thought. He could see her analyzing him in return, weighing not just his words but his character. Finally, Salentha stood, a towering figure illuminated by the light of the chamber. She did not speak, but a gesture indicated he could leave. Aaron bowed once more, feeling a strange mixture of relief and accomplishment. He had faced the Queen of Valora and lived not because of cunning or deception, but because he remained true to himself. As he walked back through the corridor toward the council chamber, he realized something profound. Humans were underestimated, yes, but their qualities, their courage, empathy, and honesty could earn them respect even in a universe that seemed to dismiss them at every turn. Aaron knew this was only the beginning. He had survived the first challenge, and now, more than ever, he felt ready to face whatever lay ahead among the stars. Aaron Clark returned to his quarters with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The meeting with Queen Salentha had been intense, but it had opened his eyes to the depth of Valorian intelligence and the subtle power they wielded. He knew that the alliance with humans was fragile, and he felt a responsibility to show that humans were not just newcomers, but capable allies. The next day, summons arrived again. This time it was more formal, delivered by two guards whose presence alone suggested that the Queen wanted to continue their conversation. Aaron's stomach tightened. The first meeting had been daunting, but he felt prepared. He had thought about every possible question she might ask and every moral or strategic scenario she might pose. Still, stepping into the Queen's chamber again was different. The stakes felt higher. The chamber was quiet when he entered. Salentha sat on her throne, her posture relaxed but commanding. She studied him with those large, multifaceted eyes, as if weighing not just his words, but his soul. Aaron noticed details he hadn't seen before, the faint color shifts in her skin that mirrored emotion, the subtle rhythms in her breathing, the way her fingers moved with deliberate precision. It was intimidating, but he focused on grounding himself in what he knew. Humans survive through observation, patience, and honesty. "You spoke well yesterday," she began, her voice calm but carrying authority. "But words alone do not define value. I want to see your reasoning, human. Your perspective on loyalty, strategy, and decision-making." Aaron nodded. He understood that the Queen valued understanding more than flattery. He took a deep breath and began to explain human perspectives on leadership. He told her about choices made not always for power, but for community and survival. He explained that humans often act on empathy, even when it seems illogical in the short term, and that their endurance often came from their capacity to connect, to form bonds, and to inspire others. Salentha listened without interruption. She then asked him about war, about the use of force, and about morality in conflict. Aaron spoke of Earth's history, of the mistakes humans had made, but also of the lessons learned. He explained how humans often underestimated the value of intelligence over brute strength, and that flexibility in thought could turn apparent weaknesses into advantages. He spoke of negotiation, of compromise, and of patience. And yet, Salentha said, her tone sharper, humans are small, weak. Why should I trust your kind when so much is at stake? Aaron considered carefully. Because humans survive not by being the strongest, but by being adaptable. We learn from mistakes, we find solutions where others see dead ends. Trust is built over time, but we are capable of loyalty and courage in ways that can surprise even the most powerful. There was silence. The Queen's gaze seemed to pierce him, to test every fiber of his being. Then she leaned forward slightly, and for the first time, Aaron noticed a subtle curve at the corner of her mouth, a hint of curiosity or perhaps amusement. She asked him to imagine scenarios where human methods could succeed, where traditional Valorian tactics might fail. Aaron spoke confidently, describing strategies based on deception, misdirection, and psychological insight. Things humans had mastered over millennia. He explained that humans could see connections others overlooked, could adapt plans instantly, and often acted with a flexibility that seemed chaotic but was surprisingly effective. Salentha's posture shifted slightly. She asked more detailed questions, testing Aaron's ability to think quickly and morally. He responded honestly, balancing practicality with ethics, demonstrating that humans could make difficult choices under pressure without abandoning their principles. Each answer seemed to intrigue her, and he began to sense that he was not just being tested, but that she was beginning to see the potential in his kind. The conversation shifted toward culture and emotion. Salentha asked how humans measured loyalty and how they dealt with fear and uncertainty. Aaron told her about human families, friendships, and communities. He described how humans could endure hardship, fear, and loss, yet continue to hope and act with purpose. He spoke of stories passed down through generations, lessons learned from failure, and the drive to protect not just themselves, but those they loved and valued. As hours passed, Aaron noticed a subtle change in the Queen's demeanor. Her questions became less about challenge and more about understanding. She spoke of her responsibilities, of the burdens of power, and the isolation that came with being a ruler. Aaron listened carefully, offering insights and reflections not from fear, but from empathy. He did not attempt to lecture or flatter, but simply shared human perspectives, hoping to illuminate rather than to persuade. After what felt like an eternity, Salentha stood. She moved with a grace that was both commanding and mesmerizing. She circled him slowly, observing him as one might observe a rare and interesting specimen. Then, stopping in front of him, she said, "You are not like other humans I have encountered. Your honesty, your patience, and your insight are unexpected." Aaron felt a surge of relief, but remained composed. He bowed slightly. "I am human, Your Majesty. That is all I can be." Salentha regarded him silently for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she asked him to sit, inviting him into a deeper discussion about governance and strategy. They spoke about alliances, about loyalty among diverse peoples, and about the challenges of leadership when the stakes are not only political, but deeply personal. Aaron shared human lessons, stories of leaders who had failed and those who had succeeded through courage and empathy. Salentha, in turn, offered glimpses into Valorian thought, their philosophies, the pressures of ruling a species capable of incredible brilliance and cruelty in equal measure. The dialogue was exhausting but exhilarating. Aaron felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever, but he also felt a quiet satisfaction. He was not simply surviving this encounter. He was learning, adapting, and, in some small measure, shaping the perception of humans in the eyes of a being who could determine the fate of his kind. When the discussion finally drew to a close, Salentha spoke with a measured calm. "You have shown me that humans are more than I believed. Your words carry weight, human. You will remain under my observation, but know this. You have begun to change the way I view your kind." Aaron bowed once more. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only wish to serve and to show the best of what humans can offer." As he was escorted back through the corridors of the station, he reflected on the events of the day. He had spoken openly, honestly, and without fear. He had shared human values, strategies, perspectives in a way that had captured the attention of one of the most powerful beings he had ever encountered. He realized that humans were often underestimated, not because of weakness, but because their greatest strengths were subtle. Rooted in character, empathy, and adaptability, he returned to his quarters, mentally preparing for the days ahead. He knew that alliances were fragile, that misunderstandings could spark conflicts, and that every human action could have consequences far beyond the station. Yet for the first time, he felt a sense of hope. Humans were not just observers in this galaxy, they were participants, capable of influencing events in ways that others might never expect. Aaron lay awake that night, thinking of Salentha's eyes, the weight of her gaze, and the silent acknowledgement of potential he had seen there. He knew this was only the beginning. Humans had taken the first steps toward recognition, not through force or conquest, but through understanding, honesty, and the quiet strength of character that had allowed his species to endure countless challenges on Earth. The journey ahead would be long, filled with trials and uncertainties, but Aaron felt ready. He understood now that the human spirit, even in a galaxy that seemed so vast and alien, could leave a mark if wielded wisely and courageously. Aaron Clark felt the weight of the station's corridors beneath his feet as he moved toward the Queen's chamber once more. His previous encounters with Salentha had been intense, filled with questions, insight, and the slow growth of mutual understanding. Yet this time, he sensed something different, a subtle tension in the air. A quiet energy that suggested the Queen wanted more than discussion. She wanted testing. When he entered the chamber, Salentha's posture was deliberate, almost ritualistic. Her eyes, multifaceted and sharp, tracked his movements as he approached. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she gestured to a seat before her throne, inviting him to sit. Aaron complied, his body tense but composed. He understood that every moment here was both an observation and a lesson. "Human," Salentha began, her voice calm yet commanding. "Today I wish to see not only your thoughts, but your judgment. I will present scenarios. Your decisions will reveal your mind, your values, and perhaps the true nature of humans." Aaron nodded, ready to face whatever she presented. He had learned that honesty and calm reasoning were his greatest allies. Salentha's first scenario was subtle, a test of strategy and morality. She described a situation in which two neighboring colonies were in conflict over resources. One was weak but desperate, the other strong but ambitious. She asked what he would do if he were advising her as a leader. Aaron thought carefully. He explained that the most effective path was not to crush one in favor of the other, but to find a compromise that could stabilize both, even if it required risk and patience. He highlighted human negotiation techniques, emphasizing empathy, communication, and the long-term benefits of cooperation. Salentha's eyes narrowed slightly. "You risk human lives to achieve balance," she said. "You value compromise over strength." "Strength is measured not by dominance," Aaron replied, "but by the ability to endure, adapt, and protect what matters. Humans have survived because we understand this, even when facing overwhelming odds." The Queen shifted her focus, moving to a more direct test. She described a political betrayal within her court. A high-ranking advisor who secretly opposed her rule and sought power for personal gain. She asked how a human might handle such a threat without immediate conflict. Aaron spoke of intelligence gathering, observation, and the subtle use of misinformation to expose the traitor while minimizing harm to innocent parties. He drew on examples from Earth. From history where careful strategy had prevented needless bloodshed, Salentha listened intently, her expression unreadable. She then presented a scenario involving moral ambiguity, a choice between saving a small, innocent population or securing a strategic advantage that could prevent larger future losses. Aaron paused, weighing the variables. He explained that humans often face such choices, and that the best outcomes arise from considering both immediate and long-term consequences. From valuing life while understanding the harsh realities of survival. As their conversation unfolded, Aaron realized that the Queen was not only testing his intellect but probing the essence of human nature. He spoke openly of human resilience, of courage in the face of fear, and of the power of hope. He shared stories of ordinary humans who performed extraordinary acts, of communities that endured hardship and thrived through cooperation and understanding. Salentha leaned forward, her voice softer now, almost contemplative. "Humans are curious," she said. "You do not respond as I expect. You do not lie, you do not plead, yet you speak with clarity and reason." "Why?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Because we have no choice, Your Majesty. Humans face challenges constantly, and we survive by being honest and adaptable. Deceit may work temporarily, but understanding and courage carry far beyond immediate victories." The Queen's hands moved in a complex pattern, a signal of contemplation. She began to describe hypothetical battles, political alliances, and ethical dilemmas, each more intricate than the last. Aaron responded with calm analysis, always rooting his solutions in principles of human ethics, experience, and adaptability. He emphasized observation, empathy, and the value of alliances over destruction. Hours passed, and the dialogue became a dance of intellect and understanding. Salentha, who had once viewed humans as insignificant newcomers, now engaged with him as a partner in thought. Her questions shifted from challenges to genuine exploration, revealing her interest in human reasoning and approach to complex problems. Aaron realized that he was no longer simply answering tests. He was influencing perceptions, shaping understanding, and quietly demonstrating the depth of human potential. During a pause, Salentha asked about fear, about uncertainty, and about the ways humans endure psychological pressure. Aaron spoke of courage, not as the absence of fear, but as the willingness to act despite it. He shared examples of humans who persevered under dire circumstances, drawing strength from relationships, hope, and an unyielding drive to protect what they valued. The Queen listened, visibly intrigued by the human capacity to endure against overwhelming odds. Then, unexpectedly, she presented a personal dilemma. She spoke of the burdens of ruling a species capable of both brilliance and cruelty, of the isolation that came with power, and of the difficult choices she faced daily. Aaron listened without judgment, offering reflections based on human leadership and community experiences. He emphasized empathy, careful consideration, and the importance of acting with integrity, even in situations where no choice seemed perfect. Salentha studied him, a faint glow of respect in her eyes. "Humans are different," she said quietly. "You respond with honesty where others respond with fear or flattery. You demonstrate qualities I did not expect. Perhaps this is why I am intrigued by your kind." Aaron felt a quiet satisfaction but remained humble. "I am human, Your Majesty. We are small, imperfect, and often underestimated, but we endure, and sometimes that is enough to make a difference." The Queen nodded slowly. She stood and walked around the chamber, her presence commanding yet reflective. She spoke of potential threats, of political instability, and of the challenges of leading a species whose members were brilliant but often unpredictable. Aaron contributed insights, blending human logic with careful observation of Valorian culture. He suggested strategies that balanced pragmatism with ethics, offering solutions that minimized harm while maximizing long-term stability. The dialogue stretched into the evening. Aaron felt both drained and invigorated, aware that each word carried weight and influence. He had come to the chamber prepared for tests, but found himself engaged in a deeper exploration of governance, strategy, and the human spirit. Finally, Salentha paused, her gaze meeting his. "You have shown me much, human. Not only your mind, but your character. It is rare for a being to present both with such clarity." Aaron bowed slightly, acknowledging her words without arrogance. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I only seek to demonstrate that humans are capable of understanding, of resilience, and of loyalty." She remained silent for a long moment, then gestured for him to leave, signaling that the session was complete. Aaron rose, feeling a mix of relief and accomplishment. He had faced not only tests of intellect but probes of his moral and ethical understanding, and he had done so without compromising the essence of his humanity as he walked back through the corridors. The station seemed different. He had not merely survived the Queen's scrutiny. He had begun to establish a bridge between human and Valorian understanding. He realized that the value of humans in this galaxy would not come from sheer strength or dominance, but from the qualities that had carried his species through centuries of uncertainty: courage, empathy, adaptability, and a commitment to understanding. Aaron returned to his quarters, exhausted but thoughtful. He knew that more challenges awaited, that alliances would be tested, and that the path ahead was uncertain. Yet he felt a quiet confidence. Humans were underestimated, yes, but in their resilience and insight, they possessed a strength that even the most powerful beings might overlook. And Aaron understood that in the delicate balance of galactic politics, this quiet strength could shape the future in ways no one yet imagined. Aaron Clark was in his quarters. An alarm suddenly blared across the station. The normally quiet hum of the orbiting facility was replaced with flashing lights and urgent messages. A rival Valorian faction had initiated a sudden coup, seeking to overthrow Queen Salentha. They believed her recent openness to human advice made her weak, and they sought to exploit what they perceived as vulnerability. Aaron's communicator buzzed. It was Salentha herself. "Aaron, your counsel is needed immediately. This is a matter of survival for the station and for my rule." Aaron's heart raced, but he steadied himself. He understood that this was a test of a different kind, one where his insight and strategy could make the difference between chaos and order. He followed the instructions, moving quickly to the operations center, where Salentha waited alongside her trusted counsel. "Human," Salentha said, her voice calm yet intense. "The rebels have control of several strategic points on the station. We cannot confront them directly without risking massive casualties. What do you suggest?" Aaron surveyed the holographic displays, noting the positions of the rebel forces and their movements. He thought carefully. Brute force would be costly, and the station's defenses were too exposed for a direct confrontation. He proposed a plan based on misdirection and strategic use of intelligence. He suggested isolating the rebel leaders, spreading misinformation to confuse them, and using small, precise teams to reclaim key points without open battle. Salentha listened closely, then nodded. "Your approach is unorthodox, but humans have survived for centuries by adapting and thinking differently. Proceed." Aaron coordinated with the Queen's loyal forces, giving precise instructions. Small squads moved quietly, securing corridors, intercepting messages, and feeding false information to the rebels. The chaos caused the rival faction to make mistakes, overextending their positions and misjudging the strength of loyal forces. The tension in the operations center was palpable. Monitors displayed the movements of each team, and every decision carried consequences. Aaron's mind raced, thinking several steps ahead. He anticipated the rebels' reactions, predicting their mistakes, and advising Salentha on how to exploit them. The Queen watched him closely, her expression one of cautious admiration. As the hours passed, Aaron's strategy began to take effect. The rebels, disoriented and misled, started to falter. Their leaders were isolated, and loyal forces moved in to secure critical locations. The coup, which had seemed on the verge of success, began to crumble. Aaron remained calm, issuing precise instructions, keeping his focus on minimizing casualties and restoring order efficiently. At one point, a rebel leader attempted to seize control of a communications hub. Aaron quickly calculated the best response. He directed a small human-led team to intercept the leader while keeping the confrontation contained. The operation succeeded, neutralizing the threat without loss of innocent life. Salentha observed every move, silently acknowledging the effectiveness of his human strategies. Outside the operations center, the station itself was tense. Alarms echoed through corridors, and security teams moved swiftly to maintain order. Yet the chaos was controlled, thanks to Aaron's guidance. He had turned what could have been a bloody conflict into a precise and calculated restoration of control. After several hours of careful maneuvering, the rebellion was fully contained. The rival factions' leaders were captured, and their forces were disbanded. The station returned to a tense but stable state. Salentha, standing in her chamber, addressed Aaron with a calm but impressed tone. "Human, your counsel has saved my rule today. Your methods are different, unexpected, but effective. The station owes you a debt of gratitude." Aaron bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only acted to show that humans can offer insight and strategy beyond mere strength. It is an honor to assist." The Queen studied him, her gaze lingering. She spoke of trust, of risk, and of the ways humans could contribute to leadership and decision-making in a galaxy. Where alliances were fragile and power was often contested, Aaron shared insights on human collaboration, emphasizing the importance of communication, careful observation, and ethical decision-making, even under PR. The events of the day marked a turning point. The station's leadership began to see humans differently, not as expendable newcomers, but as valuable contributors, capable of influencing outcomes in ways that were subtle, ethical, and unexpectedly effective. Aaron realized that his role had grown beyond that of a linguist or observer. He had become a bridge, connecting human ingenuity with Valorian authority. As the day ended, Aaron returned to his quarters, mentally replaying the events. He felt a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. Humans had faced immense challenges on Valora before, but this was different. They had demonstrated value not through sheer force or aggression, but through strategic thought, careful observation, and a commitment to minimizing unnecessary harm. He reflected on the Queen's trust in him, a trust that had been earned through honesty, integrity, and insight rather than through fear or flattery. Aaron understood that the future would hold more challenges, more political intrigue, and more tests of human adaptability. Yet he also felt a sense of quiet confidence. Humans were capable of navigating the complexities of alien politics and strategy with intelligence, courage, and empathy. Through the long hours of the coup and its resolution, Aaron had learned lessons not only about Valerian tactics, but about the nature of leadership, trust, and human potential. He understood that being underestimated could be an advantage, allowing humans to operate in ways that alien species might not anticipate. He also recognized the importance of patience, careful observation, and the subtle influence of ethical decision-making. As he prepared to rest, Aaron considered the broader implications. The Queen's acknowledgement of human capability was not just a personal victory, it was a milestone for humanity in this galaxy. Humans had demonstrated that they could act decisively, think strategically, and navigate complex social and political landscapes without losing sight of their principles. It was a quiet but powerful affirmation that the human spirit, even in a universe that often dismissed them, could shape events and influence outcomes. Aaron lay awake, reflecting on the day's events and the potential future. He understood that the challenges were far from over, but he felt ready. Humans had proven their value not through force or dominance, but through courage, intelligence, empathy, and adaptability. And in the quiet moments before sleep, he allowed himself a small sense of hope, knowing that humanity's place among the stars was being written not by might alone, but by the strength of character, insight, and the unwavering willingness to act with both wisdom and integrity. Aaron Clark walked slowly through the quiet corridors of the station, the events of the past days weighing heavily on his mind. The coup had been suppressed, the Queen's rule reinforced, and yet he knew that recognition alone did not guarantee trust or security. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges. Yet Aaron felt a deep sense of purpose. Humans had proven their worth, and he had played a key role in demonstrating the strength of human intellect and ethics. He was summoned once more to the Queen's chamber. This time the atmosphere was different. The usual tension was replaced by an unusual calm, a sense of anticipation rather than threat. Aaron approached, his steps measured. Aware that every gesture and word mattered, Salentha stood as he entered, her posture commanding yet open. She gestured for him to sit, and he complied. For a moment there was silence, filled only by the hum of the station and the soft flicker of light from the chamber walls. Then she spoke, her voice calm, deliberate, and resonant. "Aaron Clark," she began. "Your actions in council have proven humans capable of much more than I imagined. You have demonstrated intellect, courage, and loyalty. And you have shown that humans can act in ways that are ethical, decisive, and effective. I recognize now that your kind is more than a newcomer species. Humans have potential, and that potential can influence the future." Aaron listened carefully, knowing that the Queen's words carried immense weight. He bowed slightly, acknowledging her authority. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only sought to demonstrate that humans are capable of contributing meaningfully, even in unfamiliar and challenging circumstances." Salentha's gaze was steady, almost piercing. "Humans have earned a place among Valorian allies, not through force, but through strategy, insight, and integrity. Your council has changed perceptions, not only of you, but of your species. You have shown that humans can be trusted to think, to reason, and to act with purpose. The galaxy will take note." Aaron felt a mixture of relief and pride, tempered by humility. He knew that the work was far from over. Alliances were fragile, and the balance of power in the galaxy was constantly shifting. Yet he understood that this recognition was a milestone, a turning point that could shape the future for humanity. The Queen continued, her voice softer, reflective. "You have shown that humans do not rely solely on strength or fear. Instead, you act with intelligence, empathy, and determination. These qualities are rare, and they are valuable. Your actions have strengthened my rule, protected the station, and proven that humans can influence outcomes in ways that are unexpected but profoundly effective." Aaron nodded. "I believe humans have much to offer when we are given the opportunity, Your Majesty. We are adaptable, we learn quickly, and we value collaboration and ethical action. These qualities have helped us survive and thrive, and they can serve well in a galaxy filled with complexity and challenge." Salentha studied him silently for a long moment, as if weighing his words and intentions. Then she spoke again, her tone measured but firm. "Humans will no longer be underestimated. Your species has shown the ability to shape events, to contribute strategically, and to act with principles that are both ethical and effective. This is a rare combination, and it must be recognized. Your role, Aaron Clark, will be remembered as the first step toward a lasting recognition of humanity's potential." Aaron felt a deep sense of responsibility. He had always known that humans were underestimated, but now the galaxy itself was beginning to see their value. He understood that his actions had set a precedent, one that could open doors for countless others of his kind. Yet he also knew that recognition was not the end. It was the beginning of a larger journey. Salentha gestured for him to rise. "Human, you have earned my trust and respect. You have demonstrated that your species can think, adapt, and act in ways that influence the future. Take this understanding back to your people. Show them that courage, intelligence, and integrity can shape outcomes in ways that might surprise even the most powerful beings." Aaron bowed deeply. "I will, Your Majesty. I will ensure that humanity understands the responsibility that comes with this recognition. We will strive to act with wisdom, courage, and integrity, just as I have sought to demonstrate here." As he left the chamber, Aaron felt a sense of accomplishment tempered with purpose. He had survived the tests, contributed to the Queen's understanding, and helped shape a new perception of humans among the Valorians. Yet he knew that the galaxy was full of challenges, and that this was only the first of many steps toward humanity's recognition and influence. He walked through the corridors of the station, observing the subtle activity of the crew, both human and alien. He reflected on the lessons learned, that honesty and courage could earn respect, that intelligence combined with empathy could change perceptions, and that adaptability was a key strength in navigating complex and unfamiliar worlds. These lessons were not just personal, they were universal, applicable to all humans who might follow him into the stars. The night settled over the orbiting station. The view of Valora below, serene yet alive with hidden complexity. Aaron paused at a viewport, watching the swirling clouds and glimmering cities, thinking of the vast challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Humanity had taken its first true step among the stars, not through force or conquest, but through courage, insight, and understanding. He realized that this recognition was both an honor and a responsibility. Humans had been seen, understood, and valued in a galaxy that had once dismissed them. But with recognition came expectation, to act wisely, to navigate complexity with integrity, and to continue proving that human qualities, courage, empathy, intelligence, were not just survival traits, but tools that could influence the course of civilizations. Aaron returned to his quarters, the weight of his thoughts heavy yet inspiring. He knew that humans would face skepticism, challenge, and danger. But he also knew that they had something unique to offer, a perspective grounded in both intelligence and humanity. He resolved to share these lessons with his fellow humans, to prepare them for the future, and to ensure that the first steps of recognition would not be forgotten or squandered as he lay down to rest. Aaron felt a quiet sense of hope and determination. The Queen's words echoed in his mind, a reminder that humans had earned a place among powerful allies, that their qualities could shape outcomes in ways previously unimagined, and that their journey was only beginning. The stars outside the station seemed closer, brighter, and filled with possibility. Humanity had been acknowledged, and now it was time to live up to that trust, to continue shaping the future with courage, wisdom, and integrity. He closed his eyes, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the quiet pride of accomplishment. Humans had proven themselves capable of much more than they had been given credit for, and Aaron knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown challenges, but he believed in the human spirit. It was resilient, resourceful, and guided by principles that could endure even the most complex and unpredictable circumstances. And as he drifted into sleep, he carried with him a sense of purpose, to guide, to teach, and to continue showing that humanity's strength lay not in conquest, but in courage, understanding, and the unyielding determination to act with integrity. Aaron Clark had returned to the daily rhythm of the station, but the events of the past week still lingered in his mind. The recognition from Queen Selentha had been monumental, yet he knew the galaxy remained vast. It's unpredictable and full of unseen challenges. This was no time to become complacent. Humans had proven their worth, but earning respect was only the beginning. Sustaining it would require constant vigilance, wisdom, and adaptability. That morning, as Aaron walked through the station corridors, he noticed subtle changes in the atmosphere. Human crew members moved with a sense of pride, aware of their contributions to recent events. Valorian officers, previously distant and indifferent, now gave him cautious nods or quiet acknowledgments. The station itself felt different. A fragile harmony had been established, one that required careful maintenance. Aaron understood the delicate balance. Recognition could quickly turn to resentment if mishandled, and human presence was still novel and unfamiliar to many of the Valorian elite. His communicator buzzed, signaling an incoming message from Queen Selentha. He paused, quickly reviewing the alert. She requested his presence in her private strategy chamber. Aaron felt a surge of anticipation. While their previous meetings had been rigorous and mentally exhausting, he knew this encounter would be crucial in shaping the station's future and solidifying human influence. Upon entering the chamber, he was greeted by the Queen's steady gaze. Selentha did not speak immediately. Instead, she observed him quietly, her posture both commanding and reflective. The silence carried a weight, as if she were evaluating not just his presence, but his ability to grasp and adapt to complex dynamics. Aaron. She began finally, "Your counsel has proven invaluable. Humans have shown they can contribute beyond expectation. Yet the galaxy is vast, and recognition alone does not secure influence. I require your insight on maintaining alliances, managing internal tensions, and navigating the uncertainties that lie ahead." Aaron listened intently, aware that every suggestion carried consequences. He began by outlining methods of communication, collaboration, and transparency. He explained that humans thrived when information was shared and perspectives considered. Secrecy and rigid hierarchy could be effective in the short term, he noted, but long-term stability required engagement, trust, and careful attention to relationships. He emphasized empathy, not as weakness, but as a tool to understand motivations, prevent conflicts, and anticipate challenges. Salentha leaned forward slightly, intrigued by his approach. She posed scenarios involving political tensions, resource disputes, and potential external threats. Aaron responded with thoughtful strategies, combining human logic, observational insight, and ethical consideration. He spoke of the need to consider both immediate consequences and long-term outcomes, explaining that humans often succeeded not through sheer force, but through adaptability, foresight, and collaborative problem-solving. The conversation shifted to training and preparation. Salentha asked how humans could contribute, not only as advisors, but as active participants in the station's ongoing stability. Aaron suggested mentorship programs, cross-cultural simulations, and joint tactical exercises designed to blend human and Valorian strengths. He emphasized learning through observation, adaptation, and structured collaboration, highlighting human resilience and creativity in unpredictable situations. During their discussion, Salentha introduced a test of judgment. She described a hypothetical scenario in which two colonies had conflicting needs. One required urgent medical assistance, while the other controlled a critical energy resource. The Queen asked how a human might prioritize action without causing unrest. Aaron proposed a balanced approach: assess risks, establish communication channels, and implement incremental solutions that addressed immediate needs while maintaining long-term stability. He stressed ethical responsibility, transparency, and the importance of earning trust through consistent action. The Queen's expression remained unreadable, yet a subtle shift in her posture suggested appreciation. She probed deeper, questioning his reasoning and decision-making process. Aaron explained that humans often relied on collaboration, empathy, and strategic thinking, recognizing that even small actions could ripple through larger systems. He used examples from Earth history, illustrating how societies survived and thrived despite limited resources or external threats by thinking creatively and acting with integrity. Hours passed as the discussion continued. Blending practical strategy with philosophical exploration, Aaron found himself reflecting on the lessons humans had learned over centuries: patience, resilience, ethical problem-solving, and the capacity to adapt to unforeseen challenges. He shared these insights openly, framing them in a way that resonated with Valorian understanding of power, responsibility, and societal cohesion. SELENT, in turn, shared her perspectives, revealing the pressures of leadership, the complexities of maintaining loyalty among diverse factions, and the necessity of foresight in governance. Aaron listened attentively, noting the parallels and differences between human and Valorian approaches. He suggested ways to integrate complementary strengths, proposing solutions that were practical yet considerate of ethical boundaries and cultural sensitivities. Toward the latter part of the session, Salentha shifted focus to potential external threats. She spoke of unknown civilizations, unpredictable cosmic phenomena, and the fragility of alliances spread across multiple systems. Aaron proposed proactive measures, intelligence gathering, early warning protocols, and the establishment of human Valorian liaison teams trained in both negotiation and rapid response. He emphasized the human capacity for improvisation and adaptive thinking as key strengths in navigating uncertainty. Throughout the meeting, Aaron maintained a balance between confidence and humility. He recognized the magnitude of the Queen's expectations and the weight of his advice, yet he remained grounded. Drawing upon human experiences and principles that had allowed his species to endure and succeed against formidable odds, he spoke not only as an individual, but as a representative of humanity, mindful that each suggestion reflected on his entire species. As the session drew to a close, Salentha stood and approached him, her gaze steady. "Aaron Clark," she said, "you have shown humans can not only survive but also shape outcomes in meaningful ways. Your counsel today will strengthen our alliances, stabilize our station, and prepare us for challenges yet unseen. Humans have earned a place not merely among observers, but among active, respected participants." Aaron bowed deeply, feeling a profound mix of pride and responsibility. "Thank you, Your Majesty. It is my hope that humanity can continue to demonstrate the value of intelligence, integrity, and adaptability. We seek not dominance, but understanding and cooperation." Salentha's eyes glimmered with what Aaron interpreted as quiet approval. "Remember, human recognition must be maintained through action. Your words are important, but your deeds will solidify trust. Continue to act with wisdom, courage, and empathy. The galaxy is watching, and so am I." Aaron left the chamber, aware that his influence had grown, yet understanding the ongoing responsibility. He walked through the station, observing the interactions of humans and Valerians, noting the subtle shifts in trust, respect, and cooperation. He reflected on the importance of mentoring, communication, and the consistent demonstration of integrity. Humans had earned recognition, but sustaining it required continued effort, thoughtful action, and the willingness to navigate uncertainty with both courage and humility. As the day ended, Aaron returned to his quarters. He looked out at Valora, its cities glimmering beneath swirling clouds. He considered the future, expanding human roles, deepening alliances, and preparing for challenges beyond imagination. He understood that influence came not from brute strength, but from strategic thinking, ethical conduct, and the capacity to adapt. He lay down to rest, carrying with him a sense of purpose and determination. Humans had proven their worth in the eyes of Queen Salentha and her court, but the journey was ongoing. He would continue to guide, teach, and act in ways that exemplified human resilience, intelligence, and integrity. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, yet he believed in the human spirit's capacity to navigate its challenges, shape its future, and leave a lasting positive mark.